most common insulation that we provide for our building systems is what we call a compression system. This is where the insulation is compressed between the wall or the roof panels and the secondary framing system of the building, the girts and the purlins. This system consists of 2 to 6 inches of fiberglass that has been bonded to a vinyl vapor barrier and then shipped to the job site in prepackaged rolls. When buying from Great Western, all of the rolls are numbered according to a plan which you get with the insulation. This makes it easy to put the correct roll in the right place. It also minimizes the need for overruns, and overall it just reduces cost. Our value for this type of insulation directly corresponds to the thickness of the fiberglass. 2 inches is about R7, 3 inches R10, 4 inches is R13, and 6 we get R19. We don't typically recommend 2 inches because of the inherent inconsistencies in the product. And since it's not as rigid as the thicker stuff, it can be pretty difficult to install, particularly on a windy day. Because this type of insulation is installed directly between the building panels and the frame, it makes an excellent thermal break. It pretty much eliminates the issue of sweating. That's basically where the building can collect condensation on the inside when it cools down in the evenings and warm air remains inside. Kind of like a cold iced tea on a hot, humid day, just I guess in reverse. Of course, the decisions are always yours, but we do recommend considering a few things when deciding on what thickness of insulation you want to go with, if any at all. If the building's not going to be heated or cooled for the most part, but you do want some thermal protection to stop sweating and maybe even some sound absorption, I'd recommend going with just the regular old 3-inch. No reason to go heavier if it's just a building for cold storage or a garage. If you're going to be working in the building like a shop to tinker in, but really aren't concerned about efficiency, you may consider going with 6 inches on the roof and 4 inches on the walls. This is perfect if you're only going to heat the space while you're inside of it occasionally. This used to be the standard, 15, 20 years ago on all metal buildings, and basically gives you an R19 on the roof, where most of the heat transfer occurs, and an R13 on the walls. We don't recommend or typically provide 6-inch compression insulation for the walls because of the tendency for the panels to oil can. On the roof, it's not as much of a concern because unless it's very extreme, it's just a slight cosmetic blemish, which is difficult to really spot when it's on the roof. Oil canning is where the panel will dimple like the bottom of an old school oil can under the force of the insulation trying to expand around the screw. One drawback with this compression style insulation is that the R value is lost where the insulation is squeezed at the girt and the purlins, which is why we don't recommend this style of insulation if your building will be continuously heated or air conditioned. For buildings like that, we have 9.5-inch R30 single layer full depth systems and dual layer liner systems all the way up to R49. These systems are a totally different animal and install very differently. We look forward to specifically diving into that in a video coming soon. While we're discussing insulation, I can't help but bring up spray foam. While many of our customers have successfully used this in their buildings, we don't recommend it. Even if the inside of the panels are properly cleaned, adhesion between the spray foam and the panel can be a little bit of an issue. Also, unless you're spraying entirely over the primary and the secondary frames, which will add a lot of expense, the panels will still transfer heat through the steel framing. This can be minimized or completely eliminated with a thermal break, like a 1/2-inch thick strip of dowel board between the panels and the frame. There is one other concern with the spray foam. In the event of a roof leak, both the closed cell and open cell varieties can cause water to become trapped between the panel and the insulation, which can cause a failure of the panel due to rust. The fiberglass will quickly wick this moisture away, while the spray foam may conceal it for a long time. Because of this, spray foam voids the panel warranties. I know. Unfortunately, our 30 and 40-year panel warranties are mill-backed, or what we call pass-through warranties from the coil coater and the paint manufacturer. No, we really don't have any control over those warranties. However, as I said before, when buying a building from Great Western, the choices are always yours, and if you really like the function of spray foam, go for it. As I mentioned, we've had many customers go with this who are incredibly happy with their decision. I hope this helps you understand the basic insulation system that we provide with our buildings. As always, if you have any questions, or if we can help in any way, please reach out to us. We're always happy to help. Thanks for watching, and build great.